An al-Qaeda ringleader captured. Pakistan arrests September 11th plotter Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and says he'll be extradited to the United States. Turkey's parliament says no to basing U.S. troops on its territory. Iraq begins destroying its missiles. The White House says it's not enough. And flag flap, opposing views on war and patriotism on one American campus.
This is the CBS Evening News with Russ Mitchell.
And good evening. It has been a day of major developments overseas. Here's the latest. Pakistan announced the arrest of the alleged mastermind of the 9/11 attacks in America. The Turkish parliament failed to approve the deployment of U.S. troops. And Iraq destroyed 4 of the missiles that exceed UN limits. We begin our coverage this evening with Jim Stewart in Washington and the latest on the arrest of Khalid Sheikh Mohammed.
Mohammed always did like to travel first class, and he had stayed at this upscale Rawalpindi home just before his capture. The man on the right, a radical Pakistani named Abdul Qaddus, who owned the house, was also arrested. Unlike the capture of his sidekick, Ramzi bin al-Shibh, last September, who was nabbed after a long gun battle, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed went quietly. Officials said no shots were fired during this capture and that Mohammed appears in good health. That's important because the 37-year-old al-Qaeda executive, who was educated in North Carolina and speaks perfect English, is expected to undergo a long and thorough interrogation. There's potentially much to be learned. It was Mohammed, after all, who plotted with his nephew Ramzi Youssef, the man who first tried to blow up the World Trade Center in 1993, to plant bombs aboard U.S. aircraft in Asia. It was Mohammed, officials believe, who later dreamed up the idea of crashing hijacked jets into the World Trade Center. It was Mohammed who approved the selection of the 9/11 hijackers, Mohammed who signed off on a rash of bombings in Asia and the Middle East after 9/11, and Mohammed who knows the who, what, where, and when of most future al-Qaeda plans.
In many ways, I would think Americans might be safer today because we have him than if we had bin Laden himself.
In fact, catching Mohammed, one official suggested, was like cutting al-Qaeda's hands off. Osama bin Laden and his deputy, Egyptian Dr. Ayman Zawahiri, may be the money and the brains behind al-Qaeda, but it was Khalid Sheikh Mohammed who turned it all into bombs. The question now is, what does Mohammed know about the whereabouts of his boss? He may know plenty, but it's also likely that Osama bin Laden listens to the news as well, U.S. officials suggest, and in their words, has probably already packed his bags. Russ?
Jim Stewart in Washington. Thanks a lot. A major defeat for the Bush administration in Turkey today, after it appeared Turkey's parliament had approved a measure to allow U.S. troops to deploy from the country. The Speaker of the parliament reversed that decision. Iraq's northern neighbor is seen by Allied forces as a strategic northern base for a possible war with Iraq. Richard Roth reports from Turkey on a wild day for lawmakers and a bad day for the U.S.
Despite bitter debate, the deal was approved at first in a close vote to allow the U.S. to use Turkey as a launch pad for an attack on Iraq. Then a constitutional challenge overturned the result, once again putting America's war plans here on hold.
We certainly had hoped for a favorable decision by the Parliament, but the United States is still a friend of Turkey.
Parliament was hearing the message protesters in this Muslim country were sending from Ankara today. The same message national polls have been sending for weeks. Most people in Turkey don't want a war on their doorstep and don't want U.S. troops brought here to fight one. Not on Turkey's coast either, where the Americans would come ashore. As a mother and grandmother, she says, I don't want children killed. Just 60 miles offshore, U.S. ships are waiting with tanks and armor to deploy some 60,000 American troops. But preparations here to build a northern front for a war on Iraq are all on hold. For use of Turkish air bases and other facilities, the U.S. had pledged $15 billion in aid and promised the Turkish military its Kurdish enemies in northern Iraq would be disarmed. But many here feel that's too little insurance against too big a risk.
These are the two things, security and prosperity, and they fear that a war might endanger both.
What's also threatened tonight is Washington's hope that having Turkey on its side would send a signal to the Muslim world that a war against Iraq doesn't amount to a war on Islam. Richard Roth, CBS News, Iskenderun, Turkey.
For some perspective on the situation in Turkey and what it may mean to U.S. military plans, let's turn to retired General Joseph Ralston. General Ralston was commander of U.S. and NATO forces in Europe. And General, let me ask you first up, what does this vote do to possible U.S. strategy in the Gulf region?
Well, if the president gives the order for a military operation in Iraq, we can do it with or without the so-called northern option. But if we have U.S. forces in the north, it makes it a lot easier, not only for that operation, but it would bring much greater stability to the area immediately adjacent to Turkey.
General, I know the scope of your command included Turkey, so you are familiar with the way the government operates there. What do you think happened today?
Well, first of all, the issue that was addressed by the Turkish parliament is a very critical issue for Turkey, probably more critical for Turkey than it is for the United States. You have an inexperienced government with 90% of the deputies not having been in parliament before. This issue, as I say, is so critical to Turkey in terms of stability in northern Iraq, in terms of stability among the Kurdish population, and it just is more critical to Turkey than it is the U.S. And so I think it was the result of an inexperienced government. I think Mr. Erdogan showed great courage in taking this forward, clearly an unpopular decision with the Turkish public, but certainly one that the government needs to step up to.
General Joseph Ralston, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
In Iraq, arms inspectors watched as the Iraqis used bulldozers to crush the first of its banned surface-to-surface missiles. But as we hear from Mark Phillips in Baghdad, many more missiles remain to be scrapped with time at a premium.
It took some doing, but the destruction of Iraq's Al-Samud missiles has finally begun.
I'm very, very glad that it started.
But started slowly. With only 4 missiles destroyed today out of approximately 100 the inspectors say Iraq has, the UN says the pace of the destruction process needs to be speeded up.
We cannot oblige the Iraqi side to have the tempo that we would like. It is up to them.
The UN is insisting that missiles already deployed with Iraqi troops be destroyed first. And with all the missiles, their parts, their fuel, their launchers, and the means to make them slated for destruction, the process could take weeks. Saddam Hussein's gathering together today of his elite Republican Guard and Special Republican Guard commanders for a pep talk was another sign the Iraqis have concluded weeks is all they might have. The Republican Guard units, unlike Iraq's regular army, are closely identified with Saddam, are largely drawn from his hometown area around Tikrit, and can be expected to put up a desperate fight. Still, the UN says the beginnings of missile destruction and the fact Iraq weapons scientists have begun coming forward for private interviews again are signs of cooperation and of real disarmament. The Iraqis, they say, seem to be trying to provide the inspectors with as much good news as possible for the next report to the UN Security Council due this Friday. There was one other indication of how this whole inspection process is hanging by a thread. The UN admitted today it does have an emergency evacuation plan to get its inspectors out of the country in a hurry if war looks imminent. Mark Phillips, CBS News, Baghdad.
The Bush administration tonight says today's news from Iraq and Turkey has done nothing to change its position on a possible war in the Gulf. Mark Knoller has the latest from the White House.
Instead of heading to staging areas in Turkey, these troops from the 101st Airborne Division are en route to Kuwait. The Turkish parliament vote is a serious blow to U.S. war plans, but the White House says it won't stand in the way of possible military action against Iraq. And today's destruction by Iraq of some of its Al-Samud missiles won't change the Bush administration's plans for war either. In the White House view, it's all part of Saddam's game of deception. And even if he obliterated all the missiles, it wouldn't be enough.
Full, immediate, complete disarmament. That is the standard. That is the answer. That is what has not happened.
At the behest of Britain and a few other allies, the White House emphasis in recent months has been more on Iraqi disarmament and less on regime change. It made the U.S. arguments at the UN easier to sell. And the administration has said that if Iraq truly disarms, that would be the equivalent of regime change. But with total disarmament viewed as increasingly unlikely, the White House has returned to making the case that if it comes to war, Saddam is gone.
Should we be forced to commit our troops because of his failure to disarm, the mission will be complete disarmament, which will mean regime change.
A spokesman insists there has been no change in U.S. strategy. Getting rid of Saddam has been the congressionally approved American policy since 1998. But the administration would still prefer to be spared the effort of ousting Saddam if he were to go into exile on his own. Mark Knoller, CBS News, the White House.
For the first time, an Arab nation has called on Saddam Hussein to step down. The leader of the United Arab Emirates today said the Iraqi leader should quit to spare the region from war. With the threat of a military conflict growing stronger every day, many in the Gulf are on high alert. Byron Pitts in Kuwait has that story.
Check one, check two.
As American Marines and soldiers by the thousands in the Kuwaiti desert prepare for a possible war with Iraq, there is already a war of sorts in and around Kuwait City. Tension reached a new height when security at the heavily guarded Hilton Hotel found a mortar shell inside a car. The Hilton is the main press center for the U.S. media and military. It turned out to be an old, empty shell.
Today's incident is just one more reminder of the growing danger here. 2 American civilians were ambushed in January. 3 Kuwaiti men were arrested and charged with plotting to kill American soldiers in February. All across Kuwait City, state security forces are standing guard.
This is our luggage that we're taking with us.
So almost every day now, Americans living in Kuwait, like Becky Gay of Texas, make the decision to leave.
It's better to be safe than sorry, because if something does happen and we cannot leave, what are we going to do?
Some Kuwaitis like Mohammed Al-Mulaifa say Americans should leave.
I love the American people, but I hate the American government.
Al-Mulaifa is a former government official, now a dissident. He says anti-American sentiment in this region grows larger every day with the arrival of more U.S. troops. A war with Iraq, he says, will spark a new wave of terrorism worldwide. In the Quran, according to Al-Mulaifa, it says whoever is trying to kill you and fight you, you should fight him. It's a fight Betsy Gay refuses to watch up close. While her American husband will continue working in Kuwait, she and their 2 children will stay with relatives back in the States, miles from a region readying for war. Byron Pitts, CBS News, Kuwait.
Still to come on tonight's CBS Evening News, the winter that has buried budgets and bottom lines. Also, a worldwide crackdown on tobacco. And a basketball player making her points on a matter of war and peace.
If you've had a heart attack or a stroke, the last thing you need is another one sneaking up on you. After all, you've got better things to do. I know. In my case, I had a heart attack. Then I heard about Plavix, so I asked my doctor. He told me Plavix is a prescription pill that can help protect you from a heart attack or a stroke if you've recently had one. Or if you have poor circulation in the legs causing pain.
Plavix is proven to help keep blood platelets from sticking together and forming clots, which helps keep your blood flowing. This can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke. If you have a medical condition that is causing bleeding, such as a stomach ulcer, Plavix. Side effects include itching, rash, diarrhea, and bruising. Additional rare but serious side effects could occur. Ask your doctor.
Taking Plavix once a day helps protect me.
Find out if Plavix can help protect you from another heart attack or stroke.
Moving freely makes my spirits soar.
Discover new Flexium, a unique supplement for joint health.
I feel wonderfully carefree with less stiffness.
Flexium works in 2 ways. Only Flexium combines a patented form of SAMe to help ease pain from everyday activities, plus natural building blocks that help renew cartilage. You can feel results in as little as 2 weeks. Feel the Flexium difference in your joints. Guaranteed.
Right now at LensCrafters, all lenses are 50% off. That's right, every lens in the store, 50% off. Still made in about an hour. All with our 30-day money-back guarantee. Where else can you get all that?
Hurry, LensCrafters offer ends March 22nd.
When your eyes feel dry, irritated, there's Refresh brand eye drops. First, Refresh relieves and soothes, then forms a lasting shield of protection to keep irritation out and moisture in. #1 doctor-recommended Refresh relieves and protects.
I have asthma. I also have coaching running through my veins. I have a daughter who's a fearless midfielder and a dad who taught me that when you give it your all, you always win. I have asthma, but it's just a single part of my life, and Singulair is part of what I do every day to help control it.
Singulair is not a steroid, and it's not an inhaler. It's a different kind of asthma controller. It's a once-a-day tablet that can help control your asthma for a full 24 hours. It also comes in a cherry chewable tablet for children 2 years and older. Singulair should not be used to treat acute asthma attacks. Continue taking your other asthma medicines unless your doctor tells you to stop or change the dose. If symptoms get worse, contact your doctor at once. Side effects are generally mild and vary by age and may include headache, flu, runny nose, and ear infection. For more information about Singulair, ask your doctor. And ask about adding once-a-day Singulair.
I have asthma, but I don't want it to defeat me.
Singulair, asthma control that can help you breathe easier.
It's a good party when two tackles with St. John's. Then the Badgers try to bag the hook, and Red Hot Kentucky goes at Jordan. 3 scoops of hoop tomorrow on CBS.
This week's ice storm in North Carolina still has 225,000 people without power. With spring still 20 days away, many on the East Coast have had it up to here with snow. In Washington, D.C., Joey Chen tells us the idea of a winter wonderland is wearing thin.
The misery is finally over for the nation's capital. Well, maybe. This week brought the 19th snowstorm of the season to a city that usually sees snow only half a dozen times each winter and rarely gets anything like the president's weekend storm, which dumped 16 inches in just one day.
This winter seems relentless.
Especially in the city's snow room, a sort of war room for those in the battle against Mother Nature, surveying every front, mobilizing units, and trying to maintain the morale of an overworked force.
We have people who literally have worked 12-hour shifts back to back. They get 12 hours on, 12 hours off for a week now.
It's blown apart budgets throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, which wasn't prepared for the snowfall that exploded records. The District of Columbia budgeted $3.2 million for snow removal. It's already spent $3.7 million. Maryland budgeted $21 million, but has spent nearly $60 million. Virginia's $48 million snow budget is less than half what the state has spent. And remember, it's just March 1st. It's been tough for local retailers, too. Sure, they sold a lot of shovels and salt bags at this Maryland hardware store, where they also sold a lot of duct tape last month during the heightened terror alert. Between fears of terrorism and the snow, most would-be shoppers everywhere from Walmart to the local malls just stayed home. Now Washington's famed Cherry Blossom Festival may be at risk. Another wintry blast could take the bloom off that money-making event and add insult to injury for a city that's already had enough of winter. Joey Chen, CBS News, Washington.
Just ahead on tonight's CBS Evening News, trying to clear the air around the world.
Ensure
friendship.
Ensure
Laughter.
Ensure
Tears.
Ensure
Victory.
Millions of healthy people are discovering Ensure. One glass gives you complete balanced nutrition when you can't have foods like these. Ensure
Family. Wonder. Life.
Ensure to your health. Now with lutein to help support the health of your eyes.
Announcing non-drowsy allergy medicine you can take right when you need it.
It's Alavert. New Alavert starts dissolving the instant it touches your tongue, without water. So Alavert is non-drowsy relief you can take inside,
Outside, in your car, wherever you are.
Get prescription-strength, non-drowsy, 24-hour relief. Even Claritin can't beat. New quick-dissolving Alavert.
Allergy medicine you can take right when you need it, wherever you are.
Hi, I'm Keith Hernandez.
And I'm Walt Clyde Frazier.
What a marvelous night for the action.
Let's go to the play-by-play.
Oh, there's Mr. Graybeard approaching Miss Hottie. Oh, no.
Rejected.
Clyde, that's gotta hurt.
Yeah, no play for Mr. Gray. Get that man our Just for Men Fresh In Color Gel.
It's specially formulated to penetrate coarse facial hair and gets rid of gray in 5 easy minutes.
Gets rid of strikeouts too. Just for Men Gel. The Rejuvenator.
In the beginning, I was nervous about other people holding her, or even changing her, and I had to have those pricey diapers. Now, you take her. I know Loves work great. They cost less, even without coupons. And leaks? I don't worry about leaks. They hold like the Hoover Dam, no matter who holds her. Hugs are tight. Okay, my turn. Live and learn, and then get Loves.
Grandpa, how come you always chug your Metamucil?
Because if Grandpa doesn't drink his fiber fast, he gets thick and gritty.
Mommy doesn't chug her fiber?
That's because Mommy found an easier way to take fiber. Benefiber.
Benefiber?
It never gets thick and gritty like Metamucil can.
So Mommy doesn't have to chug it.
Benefiber's taste-free, too. Mommy can even put it in her coffee or yogurt.
Mommy's pretty smart.
Benefiber makes taking fiber easier. The war in Iraq, plus campaign politics. Howard Dean and U.S. Air Force General Ralston face the nation Sunday.
An air marshal and other passengers on a U.S. Airways flight today subdued a man who began shouting, quote, "Majority rules, turn the plane around," end quote, and then began moving toward an exit door. The flight from New York City to New Orleans was diverted to Charlotte, North Carolina, where the man is under arrest. UN negotiators from more than 170 countries reached agreement today on a landmark treaty they hope will curb the soaring health costs of smoking. But with the U.S. opposed to several provisions, Tom Fenton tells us final passage of the proposed agreement is uncertain.
It is so decided.
And with that, the United Nations World Health Organization ended 4 years of work on the world's first treaty aimed at a public health issue: the explosion of smoking-related illnesses that kill almost 4 million people each year around the world, a number that is expected to rise dramatically.
Countries across the world have sat down and agreed to be committed together to fight a common threat.
Under the Framework Convention on Tobacco Control, countries would be expected to impose higher taxes on cigarettes, bans on advertising, and tougher warning labels. It also says cigarette manufacturers should be held responsible for health problems caused by their products.
I believe that the tobacco epidemic is an advertised disease.
But it's been an uphill battle. There are 1.3 billion smokers in the world, and when they congregate in places like this English pub, that multiplies the damage they do.
While this may be a legal product, it's a lethal product like no other.
The treaty goes into effect when 40 countries ratify it, but there's a question of whether it will survive in its current form. The United States and Germany have expressed reservations about whether provisions on advertising violate free speech. Imposition of worldwide restrictions will not be easy or automatic. There's so much resistance from the tobacco industry and from smokers themselves that one of the boldest projects in public health could still unravel. Tom Fenton, CBS News, London.
Next up on tonight's CBS Evening News, a campus battle over showing the flag.
I never know when pain's gonna find me, but when it does, the icy hot patch is where I find relief. Icy first to dull the pain, then hot to relax pain away for hours. I put it on and the pain is gone.
Gotta go right now. Gotta go right now. Gotta go.
If you've always got to go, ask your doctor about Detrol LA. It's been proven effective for overactive bladder.
Anyone need a break?
Not right now.
You shouldn't take it if you have stomach, urinary, or glaucoma problems. The most common side effects are dry mouth, constipation, abdominal pain, and headache.
And I don't don't have to go right now.
Detrol LA, when you've always got to go.
Can't sleep? Why take a PM with an extra medicine if you don't have a backache or a headache? Unisom Sleep Gels has the same amount of the same ingredient to help you fall asleep with no extra medicine. Unisom, it's all you need.
Oh. What's the matter, Frank?
Heartburn, and my new prescription won't kick in fully till tomorrow. Oh.
The leading prescription can take up to a day or more to fully work. Zantac 75 works fast, right when you need it. Zantac, for people who hate to wait.
When dry, itchy skin is unbearable, where do you go for relief? Introducing Lanacane Body Lotion. So effective, it's in the itch care aisle. It's medicated to relieve the cause of dry, itchy skin. Combined with skin-soothing vitamins, this is the Lanacane for all over the body. It helps heal itch-causing dryness, bringing relief that lasts and lasts, even through a long winter's nap. Lanacane Body Lotion. So effective, it's in the itch care aisle.
Mom. Combination nurse, chauffeur, nutritionist, referee, hairstylist, and entertainer. Don't worry, there's plenty of on-the-job training. And chances are, you know a lot more than you think. Great tasting, 100% pure, Minute Maid premium orange juice. For moms who know, it's Minute Maid.
When the U.S. invaded Panama, Noriega eluded capture for days. So what about Saddam? With the war, will U.S. intelligence find him? Monday on the CBS Evening News with Dan Rather.
Finally this evening, the debate over a possible war with Iraq is spilling far beyond the walls of the UN and foreign parliaments. Jim Acosta tells us about one young woman's personal war protest and the controversial place she's chosen to take her stand.
All of a sudden, women's basketball draws a lot of attention at tiny Manhattanville College, thanks to senior Tony Smith. But it's not her jump shot that fills the stands. Before every game, during the national anthem, Tony turns her back to the American flag in protest of a possible war in Iraq and what she calls injustice in America.
I show support for everyone who's died for this country, but I think that if the flag means to you respecting all of those who died fighting for it, you must also acknowledge all of those who were killed to build it up.
Tony's signature move is not a crowd pleaser.
She believes that the flag represents the people who have died for our country, and if that's true, why would you turn your back on the flag?
At one game, a Vietnam veteran walked onto the court and held an American flag in front of her face. But Tony is getting help on defense, with her own cheering squad at every game.
She's standing up for all those who really don't have the courage to do it, and I totally support her 100%.
Tony Smith has not only divided her campus, she's divided her own team. And as a senior at the end of her last basketball season, she's likely to be remembered for what she did before the game than during it. That's fine with Tony's mother.
I think she's very American, and she's very much what our country should be.
College President Richard Berman is proud of his students.
We have more people talking about the First Amendment, probably than on any other campus. We have people talking about where's an appropriate way to be patriotic, but to express a different view.
Just ask Tony's teammates.
The flag represents a lot to me, and it's really hard when she does this, but I have to accept it because it's her opinion.
The people of Manhattanville College have learned a lesson as old glory, to cherish Tony Smith's right to free speech as much as they cherish the flag. Jim Acosta, CBS News, Purchase, New York.
And that's tonight's CBS Evening News. Thanks for joining us this Saturday evening. I'm Russ Mitchell, CBS News, New York. Good night.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com. AOL keyword CBS News. Experience CBS News.
Marie Callender made her chicken pot pie with tender white meat chicken and a golden flaky crust made from scratch. And we're still making it Marie's way. Marie Callender's chicken pot pie, made with the care of Marie.
This is Ocean Spray White Cranberry, a delicious, less tart taste made with all natural white cranberries. Ocean Spray White Cranberry.
crave the wave.
Kids are not as civil as when we were growing up and going to school.
They just say that I only think about myself.
Fighting, cursing, cheating, drugs and alcohol, sexual display, disrespect. Is this the most uncivil generation in history? Watch Civil Wars.
The Connect Network is brought to you by Williamson Medical Center.
Thanks for making News Channel 5 the most watched newscast for more than a decade. From your news and information